yes, working down there and seeing, the poverty and the crime and that kind of stuff.
Were you ever a victim of crime?
Yes, I was. An attempted armed robbery of my rental lot.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
You were there?
I was there with about seven. Nothing racial, but I was in a black neighborhood. And so the local population, 7 folks, came in and put a 38 to my head and said, okay, this is a robbery. Give me all your money.
7 guys came into your rental place? What were you renting?
U-Haul trucks.
U-Hauls.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I had befriended a guy down there whose name was Jamie, and he was a boxer, a pro boxer. He used to box at the Drake Hotel in Chicago. I'd go down and see him. And he actually snuck in because he sensed something was going on when 7 guys run in to return a truck, So he was in the crowd, and they put the gun to my forehead, and he snuck in and went right next to me and said, okay, hold on. Anybody that has a problem with my friend Mr. Jim has a problem with me. And I swear to God, it's like the Red Sea parting. I mean, these guys backed off and they said, we don't want any trouble.
Did he know who they were?
I'm sure he probably knew some of them, But, they just said, okay, sorry.
How old were you?
21, 22. Wait, I must have been.
Was that your last day on the job?
No. I must have been a little bit older because I'd done my stint at Crane first. Let's say 24 or 25, because I was down there a couple of years. And then when I was 26, then I came up to Janesville. So, 24, 25. And that kind of scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, after you changed your pants, did you call the police or no?
They said, do not call the police. We'll be gone.
Who said don't call the police?
Well,
the robbers?
Listen to me. If they can do it once, they can do a lot worse than just.
All right, this is an interesting. I think this is an interesting testimonial here. A victim of violent crime makes in my opinion, astounding decision to not report having a gun pulled on him and being a victim of an armed robbery because of his fear of violence in that neighborhood. You at that point in time in that place, you felt as though those guys that came into your store ran that neighborhood and that they had more power and influence than the government or the police.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's pretty common. I think
that's interesting because that would have been right around 1980. And most people would say that, most people looking back would think that those kind of problems might be prevalent today, but they're new problems. But they're not new problems. No. This kind of stuff, depending on where you are, what the neighborhood is, what the culture in that neighborhood is. So, yes, you decided that police are great, but they're not going to be here 24/7. And I've still got to come back to work tomorrow and the next day. And okay. And so did you have any other similar problems then down there?
No. They said if I kept my mouth shut and didn't say anything, I wouldn't have any problems. And
now, do you think for talking about it now, you might be in some kind of trouble?
Well, I thought about that.
Do we need to blur your face?
Quite a little bit, but in the end, I made a decision.
Yeah.
To let
I'm
this go.
I'm not faulting you at all.
No.
And,
you do what.
But that was one of the things that I think got me thinking. I want to do something about this.
Well,
this type of situation.
Yeah.
I know we're not done with the full bio story, but this is a great jump off point. Does that make you understand, say, a rape victim not reporting to the police? Are there any parallels there, or do you think those are apples and oranges? I mean, what do you think?
I could definitely see parallels there.
And would you agree also that neighborhoods that devolve to that point, it becomes cyclical. Like it's very difficult to restore order in the neighborhood that crime has become that prevalent and intimidating to the residents that live there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. There was I believe it was a mosque right down the street, a mosque, and I think they were called. You guys would know the name of this. Like they were a black Muslim group. They were very common in the late '70s and early '80s. A violent group, and I mean they were in the area, driving around. I saw them. I knew that they were there, and in fact, I saw these guys far more often than I saw Chicago PD.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, the neighborhood was certainly. What was that group called?
There were a couple
Is
down
that
there.
is that the Lewis Farrakhan? No.
No. They were like the Blackstone Rangers.
They were there.
The Blackstone Rangers.
Blackstone Rangers.
Blackstone Rangers.
Is this are these gangs from like the old West?
Okay, young man. Just because you lived 100 miles away from there doesn't mean this stuff didn't exist. And I'm trying to think. There were several black culture gangs that were not okay. So when you say gang, I know that conjures up to most people the street gangs where one's got X turf, one's got white turf. Some of what Jim's really referring to, I think, is that there was some based in religion that sort of held influence over the whole community to an extent. Right. And I think that's really what we're talking about. So there were a lot of factions going on, and you were just driving down there from the suburbs, just trying to rent trucks. It's a strange dynamic.
Yes, it is.
And so let's finish your story. You and I talked on the phone one day, and you said, I can't take this.
I can't rent
anymore.
U-Hauls anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I think we're hiring. And so I talked to the person who was in charge of hiring at the time, Terry Olson. And Terry said, wow, we're kind of it's a little bit late in the process, but write me up something on him, and then we'll take a look. So I wrote basically, Jim's a great guy. I've known him forever, blah, blah, blah. And gave that to Terry. And all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, I'm in the hallway, and there's Jim Conley and 3 other guys. And I'm like, whoa, I guess he got hired.
So that hiring process back in the mid 1900s when you guys got hired, that sounds a little looser than it is now.
Well, I did.
But we got better people.
Oh,
Obviously.
I did
we didn't hire people that, couldn't walk across the kitchen floor.